Hi, folks. Cliff from Talking Pondo here. I want to give you a quick warning about the upcoming episode. We do talk about the movie in quite a bit of detail, plot points, and so on, so there will be spoilers. And just fair warning, there is some adult language every now and then, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. Also, you can watch our latest film trilogy, Writing Frenzy, Revenge of Zoe, and The Love Song of William H. Shaw. Those are available on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Fossum, Hoopla, and Zumo. So get out there and give them a watch. I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening. Yeah, the makeup department in particular really let this movie down. Where it was
Yeah,
just like, and the director should have been like, "Nah, that's not going to work. That doesn't look right. We're going to have to put an appliance on your head. Shaving your head doesn't make it look right." I don't know. It
yeah.
just,
Once again, bad
how the
wig.
fuck can you shave somebody's head and go, "It looks like you're wearing a wig"? That's insane.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's very weird.
Welcome to Season 3 of Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Francis the Talking Mule and Vince the Blackberry will not be seen tonight, so we may bring you this other mobile device.
All right, I think that's us, Marty.
And we're back.
We are back. Another episode of Talking Pondo.
Mm-hmm. You thought it was Saturday Night Live.
That's right.
From the 70s with that, they'd always preempt things. And
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Such and such will not be seen tonight so that you can watch the following.
mm-hmm. This following bullshit.
The Waldens will not be seen tonight so that you can watch the ski jumping on the wide, wide world of sports. We're preempting the Love Boat so that you can watch the fucking AFC finals.
Mm-hmm. You can mix every week's two movies together and come up with something. But we're back. It's Talking Pondo. Marty and Cliff is here. And
hello.
It feels like we were away for a while, but you, the listener, we were just here last week. So
yeah, we took a break from recording episodes for 2-3 weeks, and so it's almost like we haven't. I don't know, it's like we haven't done this in a while, and I mean that's an obvious statement, but at the same time,
it's like, wait a minute,
it's kind of weird.
Episode 81. We've done a bunch of these at this point, and yet I still have to remember show format.
Show format. That's right. First, we open with a thing, and then we banter, and then we talk about film.
And it's like, well, the two movies today, Francis with an I from 1950 and Blackberry from
2023, yep. Mm-hmm.
They don't really have much in common, right? I mean, say both movies feature a jackass, perhaps? Is that
that's a close. Yeah, two talking jackasses. Sure, that makes sense. That's a good analogy.
I just now thought of that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Because you're right. Other than that, there's really nothing tying these two movies together. They're very, very different.
One's a biopic, and one's what I thought was a satire of the army in a way.
Oh, sure. This is that. Yeah, we'll get into that. But I completely agree.
And predates Stalag 17, where I was asking, was there any type of war send-ups? And that one's different because that one gets a little more serious. But this is something that, what do they say, walks so that could run?
Yeah. I noticed that, we talked about David Lynch's past. We did A Straight Story recently, and then apparently they're auctioning off a lot of his personal stuff. And like I saw an ad for his personal synthesizer sampling workstation. And, for going for, that first bid was like $3,000 or $4,000. Like, Jesus, can you imagine having David Lynch's 1980s Moog, synthesizer sampler and
right.
Imagine what he, captured on that thing for whatever movies he was doing. The amount of just art history behind it. So of course I sent it to Jeff and I was like, "Hey man," he's like, yeah, he's like, "It's like going for 3 times that right now." I was like, "Holy shit." Okay. Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I suspect he probably had that all set up to just be like, just liquidate everything and then give the
Yeah,
money to TM or something, probably,
that makes sense. Yeah.
That's my guess, anyway.
But I mean,
But,
apparently there's like, signed Lost Highway scripts and different versions of it and all these
mhm.
things that, Lynch fanboys would absolutely probably drool over. So it seems pretty cool. I read in a comment on the post where somebody said, what about the baby from Eraserhead? And apparently somebody claims that Lynch went out and buried it after the film was over. I was like, that's fucking weird.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, tracking back to our two movies this week, probably one of them should be buried and forgotten about, maybe, or maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. They're movies. We took a really strange turn this
We
week.
did. We wandered down a blind alley, I feel like, where we're just like, oh shit, we should backtrack and kind of go the other way.
And yet, it made sense to me because
Mm-hmm.
we had mentioned the Francis movie in passing as a joke a couple times before.
Truth.
And then when it finally shows up on the show, should we just start with the Francis?
Yeah,
movie?
let's
I feel
start
like
with
we're starting
Francis.
with that.
Yeah,
Also
good.
known as Francis the Talking Mule as it goes on in years, but when it came out, it was just called Francis. Apparently.
Yeah.
And then I realized, not only is this movie about a mule that talks, is not only is it that it's a satire
It's a send up on the military.
armed forces,
Mm-hmm.
and so that fits in perfectly with not only the Stalag 17, but way back when we watched Animal Crackers, and you said, "What next? Are we watching Francis the Talking Mule?" And it's like, well, they both kind of did army send-ups in a way.
they did.
This one is more of, I'm going to do something a little different this time. This has always been a 2-star movie. It always will be till the end of time, right? But that's kind of its base purpose, is to just be this movie that can, before they even knew what 4 quadrants was, that everybody could go to and enjoy on some level. And some of the deeper jokes about combat fatigue were up to 4 syllables now, folks. From shell shock. Oh, you must have been thinking about the last war. Just give him 4 aspirin and put him back on the front line. That type of stuff that people are getting in a subtle way then, because 75 years ago, that's how you could get that material included in a film like this. But anyways, what is Francis?
So Francis, 1950, not rated but approved. Hour and 31 minutes. Here's your log line. During World War II, a junior American Army officer, Lieutenant Peter Sterling, gets sent to the psychiatric ward when he insists that an Army mule named Francis speaks to him. Directed by Arthur Lubin, written by David Stern, starring Donald O'Connor, Patricia Medina, and Zazu Pitts. I fucking love that name, Zazu Pitts. Reminds me of Zuzu Petals.
Right.
The storyline is the truthful soldier Sterling didn't know how to lie about his source of information, the talking army mule, Francis. So he was treated as a lunatic and led to one after another hilarious situation where the mule was the only one that appeared in his right mind. In the process of all this, the mule assisted in uncovering a spy Marine who pretended to be lost among the jungle. That's kind of a lame storyline, but basically, yeah, you got a lieutenant who gets lost in the jungle in Burma, and he falls into a pit with a mule, and the mule basically starts talking to him and telling him to keep his head down. He gets wounded, and he gets on top of the mule, and the mule carries him out, and then the mule starts to give him information, helps him capture 2 Japanese soldiers that are hiding in the bushes, gives him other information about an overhead bombing and something else, and then finally about this woman that he wants to date that turns out to be a French spy with the worst accent ever. So that's basically your plot.
Yeah. So
this was this a book first? That's my first quote. Was this a book?
Check the Wikipedia page again briefly, because I did look at it, but I forgot that part of the trivia. Strangely enough, that wasn't part of my research presentation portion. But
I don't see anything.
this director, while you're looking for that, I might as well fill the time with this director did a lot of stuff with Abbott and Costello early on in their
Yes.
career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a big Abbott and Costello director. Yep.
And then when they get
Arthur
to the seventh movie in this series, yes, there's 7 of these. There's a Blu-ray set out there, people, so keep your eyes peeled.
7 Francis movies?
7 Francis movies, 1 a year.
Damn.
56. He didn't direct the 7th one. They got somebody else who directed Abbott and Costello movies to direct that one. And it's also kind of funny because Mickey Rooney replaces the lead in part 7.
Right. Donald O'Connor. Okay.
And strangely enough, Paul Frees replaces the voice in the 7th one.
From Chill Wills?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And also this director directed a bunch of Mr. Ed episodes. Now you would think that's a natural.
I mean, there you go.
But
there you go.
I don't recall Mr. Ed having combat sequences.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's a little bit darker. And Francis is a mule. He's not going to have the greatest temperament in the world. He's a little bit of a jerk.
Francis is a fucking he's a product of his time for sure. I mean, calling Japs and saying so sorry and shit like that. Like there's some lovely like Looney Tunes level racism.
Well, yeah, it was 1950.
Very funny.
It was 1950. War had just ended, and so this was still.
They had
you look at it historically that way of like, yep. And then movies like Hot to Trot wouldn't exist without things like this.
This movie was one of the very first movies released on Laserdisc.
It was. Now, isn't that interesting? I saw that. I saw that trivia bit.
I was like, what the hell? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Look, here's the truth. I brought this show on, one, because again, Animal Crackers and the crack about, I put that in my back pocket for a while. But 2, I watched this movie as a kid and I really enjoyed it. And and if you're a young kid, this type of movie is really going to sell for you, because they do the mule just enough to make it look like he's actually talking. And because they don't make them, it's not like Mr. Ed where the horse just keeps moving his lips. It's very like for just a second, just for a few syllables or consonants, and then boom, over to Donald O'Connor for the reaction.
It's like a cartoon.
And so it plays pretty well, especially if you're a little kid, and I wanted to see how it held up, and it holds up okay. It's not something I'm going to watch again, but I can't hate it either.
I saw the sequels as a kid. I don't remember.
Same. I saw them all.
I don't think
they
were
all running on the UHF stations. They were all running on UHF.
I don't remember this one in particular, but the follow-up, the races, seems like that I have like a memory of that one.
West Point, I definitely have a memory of.
And they all have interesting casts to where it makes me want to watch the rest of them just to see these cast members in these very early roles. I mean, Piper Laurie's in the second one. I'm like, what? Carrie's mom? But this was back in the 50s,
Look, this movie cost something like $600,000 to make.
It was a hit. Yeah, it was a huge hit.
And it made almost, I think, $3 million. So, I mean, it was a huge hit. I mean, being able to crank one of these out a year and the studio's just, lapping up the money. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Until there was no original creative team left, and the actor was like, well, screw it. Well, bring in Mickey Rooney and let's cap this thing off. Yep. This director,
squeeze it until it dies.
The Corman method. This director also made the 1943 Phantom of the Opera. And this is a Universal film, so it makes sense. But yeah, this director did one of the classic 30 Universal monster movies back of the day. Blink and You'll Miss Tony Curtis.
Yes, he's one of the soldiers. One of the I have the same note where I was like, "Holy crap, it's Tony Curtis!"
Yeah, that was wild. Also, for hardcore Misties out there, Patricia Medina is in The Beast of Hollow Mountain, one of the Jonah episodes. It's a Western, and then a T-Rex shows up at the end. I knew she looked familiar. The one with the bad accent, you said. So.
She's got one of the worst French accents I've ever heard. It's so bad.
The director claims this movie cost $150,000 to make. Donald O'Connor got $30,000. The Mule cost nothing. The producer claims $580,000.
Wow.
So, but still, I mean, it made $3 million, so you can't really bitch.
And we're really breaking ground today. We're the only podcast mentioning this movie.
I completely agree. Nobody's talking about Francis. And you know what? You should be.
I think
if you got little kids, they'll love it.
We're breaking ground here, and it ties in to so many other movies, strangely enough. The whole series of 7 films is a giant nexus.
Yes.
And yeah. If somebody else did a show if somebody else did a podcast on Francis, send it to us. We want to know where these
we want to hear
are.
It. Yeah, we'll have you on. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about Francis at the races or something.
Right.
This is 2 years before O'Connor does the flip in Singing in the Rain. They'll run up the wall and the backflip. And to me, which is, as a kid, I remember watching that. I think I had the flu or something, and I was watching it on UHF because I couldn't move to change the channel, and he ran up that wall and did that flip, and it was like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. And then years later, I had the same reaction when I saw Jackie Chan do that double jump wall thing that he does to go over a wall. It was the same, like, holy crap.
Right.
So the Mule can read and write?
And use the phone.
Mm-hmm. It's wild how that's the other thing I noticed. They shoot Donald O'Connor in the jungle. They shoot the Mule in the jungle in a wide shot. And then when they get close to him for his dialogue, it's all with the backdrop. It's all with a plant back. They change the backdrop completely. And so they have so that they can use the wires to make his lips move and all that type of stuff. And it's, as a kid, I never noticed it, but watching it now, I'm like, oh man, it's so noticeable. It goes from real plants to just, a backdrop really quickly.
Well, you're seeing a much cleaner copy too.
Within the same scene, though. Like literally within the same scene where you're like, holy crap, dude. At one point, there were 3 different backgrounds in one scene where they're cutting between 3 different people. And they've got 3 different, like one's got a jungle, one's got a painting, and the other one's got like things put behind them that you can tell aren't. It was insane. It was the wildest, like, who gives a shit audience just buy into it I've ever seen. Suspend your disbelief.
Well, think about it. It's 1950. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just barely came out of the 40s. So where tech was 75 years ago, this is, like getting away with it back then, right?
Well, and I imagine that this is kind of pretty popular humor. Like this Mule that's talking and telling everybody how stupid they are, and, whole wise animal shtick,
He's a conservative comedy figure for its time. He doesn't like the press either. So
yeah. Oh yeah, he's very MAGA. He's very like, fake news. He's very fake news. And there's actual basket weaving in this movie.
Yeah.
You always hear about crazy people having to weave baskets, and now you finally see it in a movie. Like, oh, okay. In his basket, because that basket he's weaving as he keeps going back and forth to the mental institution just keeps bigger until he's finally sitting inside of it. He's weaving it. Which I laughed pretty hard at that. I was like, damn, that's because that joke runs throughout the entire movie.
Oh yeah, they do that thing that you don't like where it's like, here's the same joke for the 5th time. But here that it fits. So.
It does, because it goes from like small thing to a dinner plate to a shield to a thing, and then finally the 4th or 5th time he's sitting inside of it weaving it. It was I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, you're right. Usually it's the rule of 3s and diminishing returns after.
Basket weaving.
That sergeant, you remember when they go on the one to kill all the Japanese guys, and the sergeant's chewing tobacco? That guy spits tobacco better than anybody I've ever seen spit tobacco. And I mean, good Lord, dude. It's like a Dilophosaurus and from Jurassic Park or something. Just
we've watched a bunch of movies on this show, and we've watched a handful of war movies, but this is a war movie. in a way, it has more grit than some of the more modern ones, just because of the time period it's made in. And
I think it's firmly in the tradition of like McHale's Navy, Hogan's Heroes, Stalag 17, where it honors the military to a certain extent because the men doing the job do the real job correctly, but everything else, all the stupid rules that the military puts on you and all the silly things you have to do, they make fun of and they're irreverent about. And I think it fits right in with that sort of genre. And I mean, 7 of them. I don't know if I want to watch all 7, but this one wasn't too bad. Honestly, I
Yes.
mean, I do love me some Donald O'Connor, and he hams his way through this friggin' movie with faces and vaudeville gestures and body language throughout the whole thing. It's really great.
And it does things that you don't expect, because eventually Francis does start talking. He talks to everybody. And then eventually they're just like, oh, that's a ventriloquist act, whatever. And it even has, like, you think it's kind of this dark ending. Oh no, his plane crashed. Nobody could find him. Oh no, he's living with me. You want to go meet him? And then, the end. Another person passes out hearing Francis talk.
There's a scene where Francis is leading Donald O'Connor through the jungle, and Donald is holding on to that mule's tail. And all I could think of was like, damn, that's a pretty well trained mule, because a lot of them probably just try to kick you if you're holding onto their tail like that. So that's pretty impressive. The whole premise of this movie seems to be a talking mule. What the hell's the matter with you? That's the whole premise of this movie.
How many times do they do that joke, right? It's like 5. Don't tell me it's that mule again. And wah, wah, wah. Basket weaving again.
But then at the end, it's, oh my God, if the mule doesn't talk, we've lost everything. And then even the general is, you got to talk, you mule. It's you're under orders. And then suddenly he's talking to everybody. So I kind of want to see the second one just to see if he goes stateside and starts selling war bonds and shit and gets famous. You know what I mean? Yeah. As the actual talking mule.
I have a feeling it gets goofier and goofier. I bet. I bet the grit of the first one tends to go away. My guess.
Turns it more into like, it's the more like Don Knotts and Gus type area.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't seen them in so long.
You haven't seen Gus? Oh, okay.
No, I mean the other Francis movies.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't either. It's been way too long. I'm not sure what actually happens. But
I thought there was only 4, and then I found out, oh, there are 7.
So Francis became the first animal performer to be awarded a Patsy, the Picture Animal Top Star of the Year. Well, good for Francis. That's about all the trivia I have for you there, bud. Other than it was the 11th biggest hit of the year.
Wow.
And it looks like it was a book. So it says Universal purchased all the rights after that to the character Francis from author David Stern, including the right to make an unlimited number of sequels. So yeah, it was a book. Interesting. Francis the Mule was signed to a 7-year contract with Universal. Well, I don't know that I have much else about this film. There's not much else to talk about, really. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars.
You're going to go a little higher than me.
I'm going to go just a touch higher because I think it's a decent representation of that early, it's the progenitor to Mr. Ed and a lot of other things, Look Who's Talking, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it. I know there were movies that did this before this, but I think this is obviously pretty popular and is probably more in the zeitgeist back then. And so anyway, I'm going to go 2.5. I kind of enjoyed it. As bad as it is, if you lean into it, it's not that bad. It's like Hot Tub Time Machine. What about you?
Okay. I'm giving that a 2.
2?
Yeah, like
Okay.
I said earlier, it was a 2 back then, and it's a 2 now.
It's a 2 back then, it's a 2 now. It'll
because it
always
never
be a
was
2.
trying to be more than that, I think. But it succeeded big time for what it was trying to do, and now nobody even knows what it is. But this was a pretty big, iconic thing at one time.
Yeah, I feel like if you haven't seen this, you should probably just see it just for the sake of seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know? All right, which leads us to Blackberry.
Okay, but I want to do viewer mail first.
Oh, we have viewer mail. Hooray.
Yeah, I'd almost realized, like, oh, I'm looking at my notes here. I'm like, okay, now I'm scrolling and trying to find the viewer mail.
I love viewer mail.
Yes.
Write into us, please. Tell us that we're awesome or terrible or whatever.
The episode 30 Days in Hell and Amelie get the reply from Danielle Hoey.
Hoey.
She says, oh, yay, this is one of my all-time favorite films. She's referring to Amelie. So that was the response on that one.
That was a really good one, Danielle. I think we both really enjoyed that. I think I gave it a 4? I think we both gave it a pretty high score.
Pretty high up there. And then we had another response.
Yeah, both of us gave it 4s. Another one? We have double mail? Oh my goodness.
Double mail, because we've been away for a bit. It was the episode on SOB in Rush Hour.
Okay.
And it was a comment from Gene Mott, once again, where he basically said something like, I can't find the exact quote, but it was something like, this is an all-time classic he was referring to on SOB.
SOB. Okay. All-time classic. Okay.
So, responses. Sometimes people do respond when I post about this stuff. So
I think he made better movies for sure. But I also understand why people like that one. It's a weird movie.
Did I have anything else in that other movie? No, I don't think I did. We're the only pod mentioning this. Tony Curtis, Take 4 Aspirin. Yeah, I think I'm ready for Blackberry here.
Bring it on, Blackberry. All right.
Oh, Blackberry. Why Blackberry? Because Fool's Paradise came out on the same day, I think, which was the Charlie Day movie we watched last week. So let's watch the Glenn Howerton movie that this week and see which one we think is the keeper, if any of them
the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, right, Marty? Oh, wait, no, that's the older the berry. Sorry. I'm parking back to our Friday podcast.
So what is Blackberry?
Blackberry from 2023, rated R, 2 hours long, directed by Matt Johnson, written by Jackie McNish, Sean Silkoff, and Matt Johnson, starring Jay Baruchel, Glenn Howerton, and Matt Johnson. I assume Matt Johnson is the dude in the headband. Let's see here. The story of the meteoric rise and catastrophic demise of the world's first smartphone. And the storyline. Let's see here. A company that topped global giants before succumbing to the ruthlessly competitive forces of Silicon Valley. This is not a conventional tale of modern business failure by fraud and greed. The rise and fall of BlackBerry reveals the dangerous speed at which innovators race along the information superhighway.
Literally.
I would agree with that, because I think had iPhone not figured out the touchscreen, we'd probably still be using a lot of Blackberries, because that was that thumb keypad thing was very, I mean, there were a lot of phones out there that had that. So,
did you ever have a BlackBerry?
No, but I had slider phones that had QWERTY keypads like BlackBerry had, which was that was the best thing about it. Was like, if you were used to a typewriter, you were used to a BlackBerry's keypad setup for the most part, right?
Yeah.
But once Apple was like touchscreen, touch, blah blah blah, it was over.
Right.
You either had that or you didn't.
Which is
very relevant in the film later on, obviously.
Yeah. So the guy basically invents the smartphone that works, because everybody else was trying to do it.
He figures out email on it, yeah.
And then later on, somebody else perfects that design, instantly making your work obsolete, even though you're the person who came up with it. The fucking life of inventors.
Yep.
But my first thought was, oh, shaky cam, please slow down. And it did. It didn't make me ill or anything. Like there was a movie called, I think, The Big Short from a few years back. I thought it was very interesting, but I could not sit through it because it was triggering my motion sickness because it was too jerky. And this one was okay though; it didn't do that to me. But I did have a pick on that. Not so much a research presentation, but about the way it was shot. Where I think they've taken this docu-cam shit about as far as it can go, because how does the cameraman know to get the exact movement at the right time if this is all supposed to be spontaneously happening? It doesn't make any sense.
I didn't feel like that was
There's a few spots where it's like, wait a minute, you shouldn't be jerking in right here, or the
but I didn't feel like it was going for that like documentary feel to it. It just felt like they were going for a very up close and personal feeling.
And thankfully,
I didn't feel documentary where moving the camera or doing weird things with it would have undermined the theme of it, right? Like I didn't get that. I didn't necessarily get that. Well, not that I'm, I
only got it a few times in this movie, but overall, as movies in general, I would prefer less of that.
So, I mean, my first note is, damn, the first shot of Glenn Howerton, and I can see his ball cap from the back as he walks into the room and turns away from the camera. You can see the line on the back of his ball cap, and I'm like, fuck, this is going to be rough.
You know what's so weird about that? He shaved his head.
It looks like a piece.
So why does it look like a piece?
It looks like a piece.
We have bad wigs.
It looks like a complete fucking appliance. It looks like an appliance.
Whatever they did around it makes it look fake. Yeah,
it looks fake as hell. It looks fake as hell. I mean, I would have never have thought that was real hair that he shaved off, like ever. And Jay Baruchel's gray hair doesn't look good either. In fact,
that's the Beastie Boys video.
Yeah, the makeup and the makeup department in particular really let this movie down.
Yeah,
where it was just like, and the director should have been like, nah, that's not going to work. That doesn't look right. We're going to have to put an appliance on your head. Shaving your head doesn't make it look right. I don't know. It just
again bad.
How the fuck can you shave somebody's head and go, it looks like you're wearing a wig? That's insane.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's very weird. Is this our first movie with Saul Rubinek?
No, he was in Badass.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I remember I had to look him up because I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Saul Rubinek spotting. He's the for those of you who don't know who that is, that's the lawyer from Frasier who is going to marry Daphne.
He's also in Warehouse 13, right?
Yeah, he's a great actor. Is Glenn Howerton Canadian? I know Jay Baruchel is.
No. Glenn Howerton's from Alabama, so he must have been the one American name you can throw up. I didn't realize it was a Canadian film. Yeah.
Yeah, Ball Silly. No, Ballisley. Ball Silly?
Now, this movie, much like Where'd You Go, Bernadette, made me feel seen, because the movie finally said something that I've never heard anybody say, and I wish I could remember the whole speech, but the extent of it was, the world's full of all these obnoxious, beeping, noisy devices that were made by people who didn't care and didn't put the time into it, hence the good enough. And now we're all annoyed to shit by them in every office setting around the world. I know I am. But now, having watched this movie, I go, that's right. That was made by somebody who didn't give a shit. That's why that intercom sounds so hellish. Or that device has got fucking feedback. Or you can't quite get that crackle out of something. Like when he decides to fix the intercom with the paper clip because he just can't handle it anymore. To that extreme. But it was just like, oh, so you're gonna make a device that's not another pollutant in the world. Well, that's a great idea in the beginning, and then later on it gets to good enough, you know. But I did like that. That made me feel like, yeah, I don't like electronics that unnecessarily make noises and shit. It, there's too much in the stimulus in the world as it is. I don't need a buzzing or like when your headset goes out and shit, you know, it's like, hey, somebody didn't take the time to make a good piece of equipment.
I'm looking for the quote. I wrote it down. It's somewhere in here. Hang on just a second in my notes. He talks about perfect being the enemy of good. And he says, well, good enough is the enemy of everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Where he's like, you know, it needs to be perfect because otherwise it's the end. I've got to find the quote here. I'll find it eventually. But
we're inventing the car, basically, you know.
You know, Glenn's character, I can't remember what his name is. Glenn's, hang on, let me find it real quick. Jim. So Jim is the driven businessman who, and to credit him, I mean, he signs into a company thinking he's going to get in some, you know, and get into something pretty easy with this phone that they've got, and finds out that they're, you know, $1.6 million in debt to US Robotics on a loan and, you know, all this other shit. And so he ends up putting a bunch of money up front to get, you know, to get the office going, to get, you know, people in there. But at the same time, you know, he's a fucking ball of rage. And I have worked in the tech sector for 20 years, and I have seen assholes like this.
I figured you'd probably relate to this movie. I'm thinking
very much so.
Like these environments that Cliff would work in, where you know.
Very much so. The whole movie night, you know, land party, all that shit. You know, I just missed that, but I got a lot of it later with, like, especially in startups, that culture is very there, where it's like you don't really have offices. Everybody kind of works on tables spread out. There isn't a lot of cubicles. It's very open door, walk up, hey, what's going on? Everybody's kind of fucking around at times, but also everybody's like, when it's time to bust code, everybody's really, you know, they work. It's like in this thing, they put a whole prototype together overnight. That's the type of shit that can come out of these weird little forges that they do. They call them forges, or, you know, hackathons, or whatever you want to call them. But, you know, I have to sympathize with Jim, which is like, you know, he bought into this company and he shows up and it's like, it's a bunch of fucking assholes who are playing games, you know, like, you gotta, like, give me the modems, give me the phone, let's go. I have to sell this thing. And I thought the film put together everything in a very compelling manner. Like, when I first put this movie on, I was like, oh God, 2 hours. And I'm not a big fan of It's Always Sunny. How is this going to go? And within 20 minutes, I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Then what, you know, and it's just moving right along. The worst part is the makeup.
Yeah.
It's other than that, the movie was really fun, and a lot of, it was a really good story. It's like I said, I love those movies, those music movies about, you know, bands or things that kind of rise and then they almost achieve it and then they fall. You know, like the Commitments and others. Like, I don't want them to be successful and live happily forever after. I don't know why. I want to see that rise and fall, that tragedy, that poetry, that fall from, you know, I want to see that. And this movie gives us that very much, you know, to where Jay's in the warehouse at the end of the movie fixing phones out of crates because they're made from China and nobody gives a shit. It's good enough. You know, good enough is the enemy of humanity. Perfect is the enemy of good. You know, good enough is the enemy of humanity. Right. That's what he says, you know, to the response of perfect is the enemy of good. I had a dream we were rich.
This, speaking of Sunny, it reminded me of, there's an episode where Frank falls out a window and he loses his memory and he thinks it's like 2005 again, I think it is. And then he sees Dennis and Dee using their smartphone and they have to explain to him what it is. And they tell him that they invented it. So I think it's funny how it comes full circle back to Dennis is in a movie about inventing smartphone.
my dad still bemoans his Blackberry. Those who used Blackberries and really love those buttons and that tactile, it's like that moment where Saul Rubinek is trying to work that prototype.
Oh yeah.
And he says, hold it like this and use your thumbs.
Yeah.
And it's like, boom, over. That's that moment. It's the same moment when, this movie really covers the transition from, because I worked at Sprint PCS for 2 or 3 years, and we went from regular kind of brick phones into these folding phones, these flip phones. You could kind of get text messages on them and maybe an email, and we were just sending pictures with them. And then bam, it moves into this Blackberry phase with the sliders and all that stuff. And then suddenly the iPhone arrives and the game completely changes.
Yeah.
You've got your iPod in your phone. You can make calls and you can send text messages. It's over at that point. The whole game changes. And if you don't have that touch screen, you're a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's this movie really captures that. Really does a really good job of that.
It's like, I wouldn't give you. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then we get some fucking Carrie Elways showing up like
a
dickhead.
Yeah. Right.
So good.
It's like, I wouldn't give you The Social Network to watch for the show, because I know you probably wouldn't want to watch it, but it is kind of that, it's along those lines where you go, oh, okay, I'm still waiting for The Social Network Part 2, where we see when everything does fucking fall apart, because that's we're inevitably thinking is going to happen. But it's kind of that, the tech rising, and because I know even when I've heard other people say I don't want to watch a movie about, and it's like, I get it, but I did watch it and it's good.
It's very it reminds me a bit of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Social Network, but it's Sorkin. I'd watch it. Aaron Sorkin wrote The West Wing. It's one of my favorite television shows. I totally watch that. A Blackberry working in a plane, though, like I'm not buying that. You're flying and your Blackberry's working. I'm just not buying that. Maybe. What do I know?
I never had one. I was resistant to smartphones until a few years ago, so I went right from a flip phone to an Android.
It was fun to watch you do that too, because it was like you were like, holy shit, I can send pictures and I can send text messages and I can check. Holy shit, really? And it's like, yeah, dude, this is all the shit you've kind of been, I don't know, denying yourself, but missing out because you didn't have a smartphone.
Using
at the same
other
time,
routes.
At the same time, maybe you've also, put your face buried in your telephone to a certain extent now too.
Yeah, it was the time that
trade-off
on the laptop or the computer.
Having worked in software, this is a pretty realistic movie. I mean, even some of the dumb shit I've seen done. I've seen all kinds of, I've seen everything. Workplaces that have giant fridges in the back full of beer and booze, and ping pong tables and basketball goals. I mean, I personally put together a 5,000 water balloon fight in the heat of Oklahoma in August.
Oh, I remember that. You had a video about it.
Yeah, I have a video of it. Everybody literally took an hour off and they had a dodgeball type water balloon fight with ice cold water balloons that I took 2.5 days preparing.
Right.
To get it was fucking awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Having watched that video and having watched this Blackberry movie, I can say that feels very much like the same environment.
Very much, yeah. And I've sent you several videos that I made for the companies I worked for with, thanks for the new space and this and that, and here's our rock band fucking, whatever stupid tournaments that we do. This is why you want to work here, because it's so much fun. I did a lot of that shit. But that stuff's there, but it's also the pressure and the asshole walking around screaming. That shit happens too.
Michael Ironside in there from Scanners fame to intimidate everybody.
Fucking Michael Ironside.
Who was that guy?
That was a good one.
I'm
the COO.
Next week when we cover Real Genius with Drew, we also get that kind of atmosphere in that movie a little bit. I felt like that was that, back to the Manhattan Project, where it's like they're doing shit, but they're having fun,
Yeah.
I got video games, they're making fake ice, but they're, solving equations and building shit. See, Cliff chose that career route. I went more the Empire Records route. Kind of, there's similarities in the.
So I heard the guy with the headset talk about Sam Rockwell in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was like, "What?" And I looked it up, and sure enough, Sam Rockwell is the head thug in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, and I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like what?
Sounds about right, though.
Mm-hmm. And again, this movie's very good about it shows the danger of a fun office. Like you want to have fun, but if you get to the point where that's all anybody expects, you never get any work done.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly here comes the absolute pendulum swing back the other way, where now nobody has any fun and you put your fucking nose to the grindstone. And so if you're working in an environment like that, you have to respect it by getting your shit done.
Right.
Because as soon as you get your shit done, you can go back to playing ping pong and drinking beers. But until then, you got to get your shit done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, when I worked at companies like that, that's how we did it. We worked, I didn't go to lunch. I ate lunch at my desk, because they had a fully stocked cafe, and I would just get a sandwich and fucking head to my desk and finish that and be there till 6, and then, get up at 7 and go back to work 6 and then get back to work, and, and stay long hours because you're making great fucking money, and you're, you got all these freedoms. You don't want to work in a sweatshop, right? So don't let it turn into a sweatshop. Be smart about where you're working. Anyway, that's my little PSA to those of you out there in the tech sector.
And if this had been an 80s movie, that would have been a montage sequence at the end.
Yeah.
They were having to get serious and build shit. And
yeah.
It would end it with C.
Yeah. Oh shit, man. The plunger is in the trash. We know it's serious now because the plunger is in the trash. It's over. And I'll say this, look, sweatshop and that sweatshop grinding mentality, it'll get you to your goal, but it will also lose you a fuckload of talent. Like when you move to that model of like, anytime I hear somebody say, we get a lot done and, we're focused on our those kind of weird statements in job interviews or job descriptions, I know immediately it's a fucking sweatshop. Like you're going to be there long hours, and if you aren't, you're going to be pointed out for it.
That's the army.
Yeah, and so it might get you there. It'll get that one goal done, but eventually you'll just, your fucking turnover rate's 40% because nobody wants to hang out there that long. But yeah, that iPhone showing up in that movie, it's like game over. You guys are done. It's done. It's over with. See ya. You don't have it. Sell your stock and get out.
Reminds me of
also. Go ahead.
It reminds me of a few other movies where the person almost makes it and doesn't, and it's like, well, maybe these should show up on the show a little sooner than later. So
I love how like Blackberry completely underestimates the iPhone, where Baruchel's character is just like, nobody's going to do that, and it's not possible, and it's ridiculous, and blah 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 blah, and people want the buttons. They want those buttons, and it's like, oh man, you fucked up, dude.
Yeah,
you completely underestimated that.
It's going to be a screen with buttons on top of another screen. Doesn't matter if you don't understand it. Just build it.
And that haptic feedback, that's big. Like that haptic, which is the buzz, that shudder under your fingers as you type. That's very important to users. You don't realize it, but that shit's, without it, it doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things iPhone added because they wanted to make sure the BlackBerry would go away. So they were just like,
yep.
You get that little feedback. Yeah, watching them crash and burn in that presentation at the end is so rough. and he starts lying about this new phone that they've got, and Atlantic Bell's like, yeah, okay. Verizon's like, yeah, sure, we'll try it. Sure, sounds good. No, not happening. And his best friend is, his best friend with the headband and the shorts and all that shit. I've seen that dude at more companies than I can count. not necessarily wearing that same outfit, but wearing something like it, where they're just these really smart people who couldn't give a shit less because they know they'll go somewhere else and get a job in a heartbeat. So they just kind of do what they do, and you either put up with it or you don't. I've seen those guys, and I kind of envy them. Because much like this dude, he made a shitload of money and got out.
Yeah,
and he didn't have to deal with the SEC or the legal stuff. He just said, "No, I don't know anything about that," and pointed the way to the people who were, doing all the crazy shit. Glenn in particular, that scene, that rough scene where he goes in to buy that team, and he's in that boardroom, and they're like, "Did you really think that we were going to fucking let you buy a team? Get the fuck out of here." That's a rough scene.
He's buying that whole stadium, and it's only hockey played here. We can't do that. Do you like hockey? No, I hate it. And you could tell that he's automatically judging that person without saying anything, because we see how intense he is on it earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a scene very early on after he gets fired, but before he makes the deal with the guys at Rim, where he's watching hockey, and you're looking at his face going, he's like hate fucking that screen with his eyes, where he's just like, what in the fuck is wrong with this guy? The breakdown of their friendship is good. Jay and Glenn, their friendship. Baruchel has such a boyish face that it's hard to buy him as an older guy. It's really tough for me, even with all the spray, the gray spray that they put in his hair and all that shit. I'm not.
Yeah, he just squinches his face.
The makeup department really made it rough. Yeah. It really needed a better makeup department. Screen, keyboard, phone. Are you getting it? So yeah, the only other thing I really have to say about this is, I remember when the iPhone first came out, and I was talking to somebody who literally said what when one of the developers said in this movie, which was third-party app. They're going to allow third-party applications, which means that we can write apps for this phone and make money. And a lot of these guys went and did that. And I remember thinking at the time, like, what? That's the stupidest sounding thing ever. And bam, boy, was I wrong. And it's like one of those inflection points in the universe where, like if the universe consists of 27 different dimensions, Cliff in one dimension went and made a bunch of fucking third-party apps and is now a gajillionaire and, laughing at Elon Musk or something. I'm sure.
Yeah, we just didn't know that we needed email in our phones. But if we'd been where that was happening at the time, yeah.
And now we're glued to them 24 hours a day, shoved into our faces as we walk around and as we drive our cars and as we get on our planes. And
it affects what you're listening to right now. This is a podcast.
Yes.
And where did that name come from? It must have come from the iPod, right?
Yeah.
Which is the Apple product. So, yeah, because we were old enough to remember the iPod and the iPod Touch. And then that turned... And then it all melded together with the
iPod. Well, you got the iPod Nano, then you had the iPhone. My wife still loves her Nano. She's got an old Nano that still works, and she's got a bunch of music. Because she's like, it's light, and I can put it on my arm when I work out, unlike my phone. I'm like, I get that. Makes sense.
Yeah, it is a trip because Steve Jobs has been gone a long time, and Apple's innovation has not continued like it did. And it's like,
no.
Wow, so you were here to give us the smartphone, among other things, and then we got to figure the rest of it out. It's kind of like when the automobile showed up and somebody outdid the Model T or something, and it's like, you're out. Now the cars are like this,
They gave us the pad from...
And the Cybertruck ain't it. It's too clunky.
From Star Trek Next Generation. Remember the pad?
Yeah, exactly.
They gave us that, and then we went on to fold it, and like now we're making TVs that roll up
right
into tubes, and you can carry them around. It's like, holy shit. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, they're continuing off of the pre-existing idea, but they're not coming up with the new idea to break the mold since the iPhone. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show before, but I'm still waiting for the thing to come along that makes the internet look as obsolete as the Yellow Pages.
It won't happen in our lifetime. It'll be stretched one or two after. You have to.
Things going so fast. I don't know.
Hawking has a theory where he says that the people who invent something aren't the people that truly utilize it. It's the people who come after, who have lived with it, who just go, "Oh, just do this," and that changes the game completely. And so
could be
we've all sort of lived in that era of the internet being born, and it's the ones next generation after, in my opinion, who are going to look at it and go, "Oh, you fucking idiots, just do this, click," and it's going to be a whole different thing.
Like smartphones,
that smartphone is so old. It's smart everything. What are you talking about? So Blackberry, let's see, grossed 2 million worldwide. Doesn't say how much it cost. I guess they put it out just for what, Oscar consideration.
And our Blackberry was calling the operator on the payphone and saying that our quarter got eaten.
Yeah. Let's see. It looks like there's some factual errors in the movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a biopic. How could it not? I enjoyed it more than Fool's Paradise, though. If you're gonna compare those.
Oh God, yes. Together. Yeah. If you want to compare ISIP projects, this is pretty up there in my opinion. I would watch this over any Caitlin Oslin, television show, or
well, they have to give us a movie that we can put side by side, Yeah. But you also like that Wrexham show, so
I do. I was going to say that Wrexham show is really good. That's up there for sure, which also has sunny people on it. But anyway, I'm going to give this 3 stars. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that's what I give it as well. Yeah.
I think it's rewatchable. I'm going to give it 3.
Yeah, I'll do 3 also. Yeah.
And you went 2 for Francis, right?
Yeah. Lighten up, Francis. Hey, is that why he's calling him that? He's referencing Francis the Talking Mule? He might be.
2 Japs alone are always nervous.
Well, see, it was 1950. And you're watching it, it's like 75 years later eyes where you're thinking, everybody who made this movie is probably gone.
Oh, there's one thing about Blackberry I want to point out, and it makes it a Pondo movie. Do you know what it is?
Oh, what was that?
You didn't catch it?
No, go ahead and tell me what it was.
So Baruchel and Howerton are in the limo going to pitch the prototype to Bell Atlantic for the first time. And what's Jay Baruchel eating? He's eating a fucking tray with grapes. And what happens? He eats the grape and he drops it onto his shirt, and there's a grape stain on his fucking shirt. Just like fucking Pete in fucking Writing Frenzy.
Oh, geez. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking like in the Party Animal, like when Pondo's eating a Twinkie with Kool-Aid on it, or spray cheese.
Spray cheese. Yeah, Twinkie with spray cheese. Yeah. Which sounds pretty awesome.
You got to deep fry it.
You got that sweet and sour, savory thing going on. Just kidding. But anyway, I thought that kind of made it, a tertiary Pondo movie.
Oh.
Yeah. So what do you got for me next week?
Okay, so next week we'll talk to Drew. Drew will come back as the guest, and we'll do that Real Genius and another film, which you'll get to discover unless you look at our Letterboxd page and you already know the answer. See, if you look at our Letterboxd page, you can spoil all sorts of shit for you.
They don't care.
Okay, so as of the time of recording this, we have 5 recording sessions left until we go to Mad Monster, Arizona for the year.
Mad Monster 2025.
Glendale. It's got a great lineup. And so, like last year, we started picking a few movies, not not filling every single week up until, but a few with some movies that feature actors who are going to be at the con, so we can have it fresh in our head and be like, I just watched such and such movie. Now I have a question for you about it. And Cliff said, please spare me too many horror films. So I had to...
only because I'm watching a bunch in the next, in the future.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
They're coming.
Not because I don't like horror movies or anything.
But you don't want to do like 4 in a row. I don't need to do 4 in a row. So please, some of these people have been in more movies than horror films. So before we got on, I started shuffling my deck around. And next week's movie is Nashville.
Really? Okay. Nashville.
Because Ronnie Blakely will be there.
Sure. Okay. Nashville.
For the Oscar for the film, so I think that's a good one to have seen.
Solid pick.
I don't want to be like, oh, why didn't you have me watch Nashville before the con? I would have had a question. So it might be one of those. So
no, sure. Nashville's it's a good pick. It's an Altman film. I haven't seen it in a while, so it should be fun. My pick for you is much easier. I'm not doing this whole Mad Monster thing, mainly because I told you earlier on, I've had a list. I need to go from top down. That's why you got Francis last week. It is not revenge for the Before series, as many of our listeners may think. It is not. I am still angry about watching the Before series, and the more I think about it, the angrier I get.
Well, it was really just you could watch on the waterfront. Why you had to watch those.
And On the Waterfront was an excellent movie. I quite enjoyed it. And maybe we'll circle around to the Before series at some point, maybe during the recap, and I'll talk about my feelings on it. But anyway, the point being, I'm just going top down here, and so your next film is going to be Oppenheimer.
Hey, finally, we watched Barbie.
Exactly.
So we're going to the Oscars next week.
Nashville Oppenheimer is going to be now. This is quite a reverse from our Francis freaking Blackberry choices. So
strap in. These are long.
Strap in indeed. Yep. Whew. Get the popcorn ready, Mom. Nashville and Oppenheimer. Let's do it.
Yeah, which to watch first? Talk about what they have in common. I'm sure we'll have plenty.
So we normally end the show with a quote, and my favorite quote from Blackberry is Glenn Harrington, and he's walking and he's dictating to his secretary, and she says, "Fucker, third row, got it." And I love those throwaway lines. So fucker, third row, got it.
Give a man a dose of castor oil and a hot bath, he's either crazy or he isn't.
Later, Marty. Don't miss an episode. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, like us on YouTube, or give us a 5-star rating on the podcast app of your choice.